Guys, it's Old Soul New Life, and I invite you to subscribe to this channel and like this video. Also click the little bell to get notifications for new videos every week, as well as live chats if you guys want to do that. So just let me know either way. There's a few things I want to talk about. This is a channel for open minds, people working for spiritualism, people working to progress in their spiritualist life. A lot of my friends, a lot of my family have come to me for guidance as far as being a witch, practicing spirituality, noticing vibrations and frequencies, because all of these things are really important to understand before you delve into the spiritualist world. So that being said, this video is for the witch starting out. Who's done the previous research on the history of witchcraft and the history of witches and what the main beliefs are. The main beliefs are that the sun is the god and the moon is the goddess. And every summer solstice we celebrate the sun, where every winter solstice we celebrate the death of the sun and the birth of the moon. She kind of takes the role from there, takes the authoritative role from there, and we begin to go more inward towards those months and really reflect on our moon sign. So knowledge is super important and is the very first step to witchcraft and dealing with frequencies and manipulating energies and vibrations. In order to have the knowledge you need, you have to be creative and you have to listen to yourself. This requires meditation. Meditation is so important to understand yourself and how you learn and how you're able to best retain this information and incorporate it in your everyday life. There is no knowledge like inner wisdom. You create your reality. Your reality is based on your perception in your mind. You create neural pathways to manifest these things in your reality. So you choose if you're going to, if you're going to manifest the more positive aspects of life, and if you're gonna try to rewire your brain to attract more positivity, abundance, love, gratitude into your life, or if you're just going to keep on your dark side and your shadow side and just look out for the negativity and stay in those lower vibrational, we call it lower vibrational frequencies. So when you meditate, you start to understand what your weaknesses, what your strengths are. You start to understand who your guidance is. You start to understand what deities are calling to you. You start to understand symbolism and numbers and colors and patterns and how they all correlate to manipulating and creating and manifesting your best life. When you practice meditation every day, you become more aware of the authentic beliefs, the beliefs that you authentically know and believe for yourself. And what your program beliefs were, what you picked up on that other people believe that you just thought maybe you should believe, or who you've been influenced by. It's so important to protect yourself as far as what your influences are. Make sure that if you are being influenced, it's in a positive light and that it's for your growth and progression, and again, that it correlates to your authentic self. You observe what you feel to the core, and you start to believe due to someone, you observe what your core beliefs are. You start to understand what your core beliefs are, and you start to develop a belief system on that instead of a belief system based on everyone else's beliefs. It's easy to get influenced by those you love. It's easy to get influenced by family and friends, but in that aspect, we are our own spirit. We are our own light, and we control our destiny and our fate. So understand that you can control how your life goes. There's two paths you can take. You can take the sleep, the unconscious, the lower vibrational, or you can take the higher path of just seeking out the truth, seeking out where your roots come from, your ancestors, where humanity comes from, and how we can all connect together and work together in peace, love, and harmony. It's so So important. And when you know yourself first, or at least at the start, this means accepting both your light and dark sides. So this doesn't mean refusing your dark side. It's so important to understand that your dark side plays a role in your life, and it is a potential for growing, it's a potential for progressing, it's a potential for learning. So when you find yourself in the presence of your dark side, don't resist it. Don't resist it. Accept it. Accept that this is part of you. This is your duality, and everything that is organic and natural has a duality. They have something that we as humans can judge as good or bad. But in all reality, nature has no good and bad. You can utilize whatever energy and whatever frequency you would like to utilize. There's no such thing as good and bad. There's duality, of course, but that duality is neither bad or good. The whole thing with the craft is you have to look at it from an observant, objective point of view. Take your core belief of it and incorporate it into what your personal beliefs are. And, most of the answers are within you. So when you start to meditate, when you start to ask yourself what really makes you tick, what you really want, what your best life looks like, what the best you looks like, you start to understand yourself more and understand why you retain the things you do and why you pick up on the things you do. And if those, you can kind of separate what is stale and stagnant and no longer serving you and what is actually going to help you grow and progress. This is something that I'm working through now, and it's something that everyone in their point in time should work through, as children even. We are bred as children to be programmed to believe one way and believe one thing. And that is not the case. That is not nature. That is not natural, and that's not the progression of things. So when you meditate and you focus and you get into the point and you've been practicing every day and doing the work you need to do spiritually as far as meditation goes, meditation can be 20 minutes a day, even 3 minutes. Sometimes even at lunch break, even on my 15-minute breaks at work, I take a 3-minute meditation break. And all it requires is you being aware of you inhaling and exhaling. Once you're aware of that, the present will present you so many different opportunities and so many different ways of solving any situation that you're in or solving any question that you want to find the answer for. When you truly listen to yourself and your authentic beliefs, the answers will arise. You must be patient. You can't be stubborn with your old beliefs. You have to let go. Let go, meditate, and just be aware and present of your breath and where you're at and where your thoughts are at. Be observant of how you're portraying yourself and your thoughts, and make sure that you're using as little negative context as you can. When you say something like, an example would be, I have anxiety. When you say I have anxiety, you are affirming it. You are telling the universe that you have anxiety. You are not telling the universe that you're dealing with it or figuring out a solution. You're just sulking in the fact that you have anxiety. When I feel moments of anxiety, which I suffer from greatly, when I feel moments of anxiety, I tell myself I am healing from anxiety. I'm healing from anxiety. I'm healing from anxiety. When you say it 3 times, 3 is a number of creation. So when you say it 3 times, you create and manifest that reality. You must always positively affirm what your beliefs are. When you say things like, I have depression, or when I have, I'm getting sick, things like I am healing, or I am releasing toxic chemicals, things like that are perfect to say whenever you are trying to shift into a more positive mindset to lift your vibrations. And this always is, you know, a good tool to use. Use your instinct, use your intuition. It is not going to steer you wrong ever. It is what we are programmed to do as human beings, as a part of nature. Everyone and everything has an intuition. I don't care if it's a tree. I don't care if it's a flower. It has intuition and it has spirit. So that leads on to my next point, which is you gain a lot of knowledge as a witch through synchronicities. These things can present themselves through patterns, numbers, symbols, colors, animals, people, words, phrases, things that really just kind of resonate that you keep seeing over and over and over. I will be doing a separate video on numerology and some divination techniques, some clairvoyant techniques that you can use in order to figure out your soul's path and your purpose. It kind of helps aid you in that search. So that being said, you see these numbers like 1111, or you keep seeing even things like you see that your phone says the time 11:23 and your charge is at 23%. That is something. You need to stop what you're doing and look and Google it. Use the technology at hand. Use what you have at hand. The best thing that you can do is figure out what your resources are and utilize them as tools. And they can be as simple as Googling, what is the synchronicity of a hawk? What is the synchronicity, or what is the spiritual meaning of a hawk? When I go into deep trances and meditation, and I see shapes and numbers and animals and visions, I jot them down. And later, whenever I have free time, whenever I feel like winding down, I'll research what these things mean and what my spirit's trying to tell me. Because all in all, if you look at it from a scientific point of view, you have your own magnetic field and you are attracting what you want. You are attracting, you know, communication through spirit. You are attracting your old ancestors' guidance through just meditation. And it's so important to just start little. Don't start big. Start little. Start doing meditation for 2 minutes a day. And that just solely means I'm focusing on your breath. It is hard work and it takes time, but once you get to that point where you're actually able to enter into higher vibrations and higher realms just through meditation, trust me, the world will seem a lot easier and everything will seem a lot easier to comprehend. Things don't always have to be a struggle, nor do they have to be a struggle at all, really. They can come easily to you. Just let it flow to you and let go of the control. Just let it flow to you. Let the knowledge come into you and do not question that knowledge, because that is your intuition. That is your spirit speaking to you. You know, if you're seeing, again, going back to the random species of animal, if you're seeing a random species of animal over and over again, if you're seeing just even a species of animal over and over again, it means something. It means something. It is not a coincidence. These things are spirits. These things hold frequencies and vibrations that you're attracting, and you need guidance. If you're asking for that guidance, it will come to you. You just have to be willing to do the knowledge and research. You have to be willing to dive into learning and love learning. That's all witchcraft is. It's practicing, trial and error, and learning. It's much like being a scientist. You're trying out your hypothesis. You're working with natural frequencies. You're working with natural molecules and vibrations. So you need to pay attention to the science and the physics and the quantum physics even of this belief system. I won't even call it a religion because it's not a religion. It's a belief system. It's seeking out the truth is what it is. And it's using and utilizing these tools to manifest your best life or manifest your soul's path, to finally transcend out of this third dimensional, third density world and to ascend into higher densities. I fight with this every day because we are human beings and we do have our duality, but the the main point of that is we are intelligent beings, and we are beings of light, and we are beings of energy, and we have to utilize that. And the only way we can is by trusting that ancient knowledge that is given to us through meditation, through the technology that we have, and through the books that you find. Good apps that you can utilize for tools, for crafts, for spells, for mantras, for affirmations, for different things like that. Pinterest, Tumblr. I even search sometimes on Instagram, and that goes into another thing. When you're first starting out in witchcraft and you're first starting out as in this path, you have to understand that these things have a subconscious influence whether you know it or not. These social media networks have a subconscious influence. And what you are scrolling through, if it's constantly negative, that's what your subconscious picks up. And guess what? Like I said, you're your own electric magnetic field. You're going to attract that. You're going to attract that negativity, and you're going to develop some type of mental illness that was never even present before you had this situation occur. So my thing is don't not use social media, because the point is to network. The point is to get to know other human beings and get to be more open-minded and open about our rights, our liberties, and the justice with humanity. You have to utilize it and sift through all the negative. And it doesn't matter if you knew that person for 20 years. It doesn't matter if you knew that person for, it doesn't matter if it's your brother, mother, sister, uncle. It doesn't matter. You need to get them off of your feet, because what they're doing is feeding your subconscious, and then you give your energy in reaction. We as humans, if you are just starting out on the spiritual path, it is important to be more proactive than reactive to these people. You must accept everything with love. Everything with love. Because if not, you won't attract love. So, my little rant there. But that also coincides with what I'm saying as far as when you see these synchronicities, when you see these patterns, this is the way that our ancestors, this is the way that our gods, ascended masters, angels, and divine energies contact us. And they can't talk in third density because they don't live in the third density. This is how they talk from the fifth density, or from whatever density they're from. This is how they know how to communicate with you, and they are depending on you to do the research and learn and study as much as you possibly can. So like I said, we will do a series on numerology. I'm planning to do an entire series on numerology, and if you guys have any input as well, it's most welcome. That's the whole point of this channel, is to communicate. So if you want to leave a comment about, different numerological, numerology type of synchronicities, or animal synchronicities, then leave a comment. Comment with other witches. We are all learning all the time. It doesn't matter if you're a fifth generational witch, or if you're just starting out. We all have to know this knowledge. So that's another thing too, is utilize your library. It's free. So I've gotten so many books about witchcraft, about divination, clairvoyancy, synchronicity, and not only that, but the most important thing is you can find the most ancient of documents in the library. Study the world's history and beliefs and mythology, because they all tie in together. They all know the secret. They all know what everyone is refusing right now. You are in control of your reality. I found basically a few books here. I'm really interested. I don't know if you can see that. It's backwards. The Hermetica. So I'm really, through meditation and through a lot of soul searching, I've discovered that a lot of deities, or a lot of divine energies that call to me, are Egyptian. So just knowing that, I'm going to read this book, and basically it's Hermes. It's Hermes prophecies, Hermes you know, it's the Hermetica. It's a good belief system. This is the things that you have to look out for. These are when you look for these signs and symbols and you can't find a meaning that resonates with you, it's oftentimes a divine being trying to get in contact with you in order to give you guidance for your next situation, your next circumstance, whether it be good or bad. And also, again, the magic of the gods and goddesses. And notice the CK. That's how traditional witchcraft spells it. You can tell those who dive into traditional witchcraft if they spell it this way. This is just how a lot of Wiccans, a lot of witches, this is a lot of people that study the craft. This is how they spell it. So it's the magic of the gods and goddesses, and I know that it's credible because it is spelled that way. I also want to tell you on a side note that you want to make sure that your producers of your literature that you're doing your research on are credible. Look into them. Don't just take it as face value. You have to understand that in order for it to precisely resonate with you, it has to come from a credible source. When you dive further into this craft, you'll understand that you start seeing prophecies come true. You start being more aware of your divination, your clairvoyancy. Everyone is psychic. Everyone. That's we all have, and I'm going to do a video on this. We all have a pineal gland, and that is the best tool you can possibly use, especially for wanting answers during meditation or trying to find guidance through synchronicities. So yeah, just make sure that you're doing the research on the authors and the things you look up on social media. Again, it is trial and error, so if it does resonate with you, then you can try it. But I want to say be wary, because it's a very fragile line between this world and the next. So understand that, and I'll do a video about this as well, protection is key. You need to protect yourself. There's a lot of entities joining together at this world, whether they be higher dimensional or lower dimensional. They're all meeting in this world as a middle ground. So you need to understand that a protection as a human being, seeing as we are part organically from this earth, you have to protect yourself. In that way, you protect everything you love. You protect the world. I mean, in that way, you send off such protection vibrations for everything that you enjoy in a positive, authentic light. So yeah, just make sure that everything's credible. Make sure that you're doing your research. It's so important. The first step to witchcraft is knowledge. The first step, hands down. The second step, or the second tool, is your intention. You literally need no tools at all. All you need is an imagination and a good intention and a willing to just let the universe make that intention manifest in your reality. A witch's entire, if not most of their power, relies on their attention. And this is a deep subject. So if you guys want me to go further into this subject, then let me know. If you want to know any more, just send me a message or comment below and ask questions. If I can't answer them, then other witches might.